start date for the annex.
So did we eliminate some of the needed, what we received yesterday? The green need data, electrical, did some of those get removed then? Okay, great, okay.
It looks to me like the clerk had mentioned yesterday, the change by and large was you didn't need to remove some of the end pieces so that you did not need to add more pieces on the west end of the north section. That's the biggest changes, which you had mentioned yesterday, and then some changes in the electrical and the data in just some areas. So really, there's not much of a change to this. It looks like this is a way for you to save some money on the shelving, so you don't have to purchase new shelving, and everything's gonna flow well. So that was a quick turnaround time. You guys did really well. I appreciate your text. With stuff that happened last night, and then we had meeting that we had to be in this morning and could not be available, but you guys did really good work.
Stacy?
Mike, just how do you feel about the budget of the 134,700, I believe we got left versus what's on this drawing?
Currently, Stacy, the 134, I believe that, and of course, a lot of it depends on what the county would do internally as far as scope of work. But as overall, if we have the contractor do everything and we don't do anything internally, the county doesn't do any work, we will be over budget.
Yeah.
You had a document yesterday that kind of laid out the different parameters of different entities doing different work. Yes.
You guys brought.
Did you guys have a chance to take a look at that and go over, and are you comfortable, or are there changes that need to be made on that?
So, yes, along the lines of the document that was presented yesterday, which I believe it was an email from me to Stacy, the county clerk's office has taken that document and put it together a much better spreadsheet to help us and identify the work and kind of use it as a tracking tool as far as schedule and estimated cost and where the funds are coming from. I don't know if that was attached to this. Okay, sorry.
Is it fair to say that we have a better idea of the costs and exact duties that need to be performed, but as far as who's going to take care of them, it's still TBD, still to be determined? Is that a fair assessment of what you're trying to tell us right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Marissa?
So the document is a work in progress and one that Chantel can email over, and we could have somebody go make a copy of it if needed. I did do this yesterday in the middle of all the excitement going on. But our goal with this is to be clear as to who is responsible for what and when we start, what the deadline is, how much the cost will be, who will be paying for it. Because I do think that in this process, knowing who the responsible party is, and I'll pass it around so you can see it because I don't think I have extra copies of it, right? Or do we?
Why don't you go ahead?
Do you mind?
going to make some real quick?
I think that would be
That'd
helpful.
Great. I do too.
Because what I would really love to see, and I'm comfortable with this, I'm comfortable with putting my signature on both of the floor plans so that nobody can say, I can't say you did something different. We're all on the same page. I'm ready to do that today. I would also be ready to put my signature on this working document with the understanding that it is a working document. I mean, obviously, bids, prices, things like that need to be looked at. We also may have some disagreement or different ideas as to who's responsible for things. So I think if we all look at this document and say we approve it with an overall plan, knowing that we still need to have some conversations, it puts us all in a really comfortable spot where everybody's on the same page.
I would like to go back to Stacy's earlier question though, and just make sure we're clear. I mean, um, currently our budget is 134,000. When you look at the scope of work, the entire scope of work that needs to be done though, for areas, for phases 1, 2, and 3, um, based on our preliminary estimate, we cannot do all that with a contractor for that amount of money.
Without having some done in-house. Right, correct. So, and my understanding is that if that's true, then between having triggering, having to have an architect involved and having other things done, is basically makes this a non-starter as far as timing and everything.
In
Is that a correct
fairness, let me
assessment?
give you the history, because Madam Clerk wasn't here. It was
Right.
the previous clerk that when that budget got set, it got set where it did, so we wouldn't kick off an
Right.
architect.
Uh-huh.
Didn't see the project needing to rise to that level.
Uh-huh.
So felt comfortable with that particular budget versus what the previous clerk had planned.
Uh-huh.
And the difference is if you've got that sheet, numbers 1, 6, 7, 8, 13, and 16 were not going to be done. And they've been added now, and I like the plan better. I think it's better space for the clerk, the way they've laid it out now. But if contractors do it all, it's going to bust that budget some. So the question for you guys is, do you want to up the budget, or if you did a lot of these items in-house, which in the past we would have done some in-house, and not have to go to a contractor, that saves some money where you might be able to get in the budget.
Cody, I think you have some strong feelings about this, don't you?
And we can still use in-house. When you get a copy of this, I have facilities in here several different times. I think facilities in-house is an appropriate use as long as we have a clear plan.
I think my strong preference is to make sure that we have a plan, first of all, that we can keep in budget and that is going to work for the end user, which is the county clerk's office. I'm not the one that's going to be down there working in the space. So it doesn't matter if it meets my theoretical need. It matters whether it meets the end user's need, and that we're able to turn this out in a tight timeline. Those are my biggest concerns.
Stacy, can you identify those items on this document that we just received? The numbers that you just mentioned.
Stace, do you want me to help you, Stacy? I didn't say Stace. Do you want me to help you? Just
Yeah,
that's probably multiple sheets.
Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah, in general, not just Stacy. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Well,
yeah,
I didn't mean. I just since I typed this up and you typed this up, it may be helpful.
I'm sure they're on here.
They are.
Marissa,
so,
then could you assist us?
So sorry. So I took this information that Mike and Stacy had, and I just put it into a spreadsheet.
Okay.
And then I, as Colton will appreciate my spreadsheets, this will be moved to an Excel document. But last time I just did it quickly on this.
Right.
So we can do some sorting later. But
well, just pardon me just 1 second. So my understanding is, Stacy, those numbers that you just identified, you feel like if we do those in house, then we're going to be able to have a shot at staying in budget. So I thought it made sense to me to identify those on what Marissa just submitted, and if we are all in agreement that those can be done in house, then maybe we're on a good track here to proceed. Does that make sense, Cody?
So as you glance through this, I agree, and I think to your point, and kind of to bring this all together, you'll see where it says responsible party, and then funds used, which there may be some adjustments here, but wherever it says facilities, I would assume would be in-house and not a part of the ARPA funds. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, so let's just start with the very top one, South Space, the first two items on page 1. Are those items that you were saying needed to be done in-house, Stacy, on the first page?
Well, because Chris's crew is licensed, those in the past would have probably been done in-house.
Okay.
Saves quite a bit of money.
Is there an issue with us doing those in-house?
As long as there is a plan and we're all moving the same direction and following the law, I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, I would Stacy, do you see a problem utilizing our AB crew on that? From,
They're capable of doing
they
it.
are
It's
capable,
a-
and it's going to help us stay within budget. The two other concerns that I had was whether it meets the needs of the clerk's office. Seems like as long as everything is done right, they're cool with that. My other issue was timing and making sure that we're able to get things done within the tight window. Do you see any problems from a timing standpoint having our in-house AB do that?
No.
Okay. Then I would say we would move that to facilities. That way we don't have a budget issue there.
I'll go down then to the bottom one because it has contract responsible on the bottom one, bottom box on page 1. Is that in your, does that, are you cool with that being done by a contractor, Stacy?
It's below, it doesn't have to be, it's just below the ceiling.
I understand, but I mean, I'm talking about as far as budget wise. Is that on your number 1 or one of the items that you stated needed to be done in-house?
No.
No, okay, great.
can be
Okay,
done
cool.
on contract.
The replacing missing ceiling tiles, it has the licensed AB contractor on here, but if we're using in-house to adjust the grid, would it make sense to have them do the tiles while they're doing the grid? Okay.
Yeah, I took Melissa's comment earlier to apply to both of those top
Yeah,
2
they're
ones.
just two separate line items. So I
Understand.
wanted to
I appreciate
to
that,
clarify that.
Thank you.
The existing wall track, that doesn't have anything you had mentioned to do with AB, but while our AB crew is in there messing with the ceiling grid and everything, would it be
They can do it as
feasible
well.
for them
Yeah,
to
they
do
can
that
do
as
it
well?
It's either or there.
I think if we can save money there.
My only final question is, over in the funds used, it says ARPA on the first top 2 ones, which would make me think that if we used an outside contractor, it's already covered under our ARPA funds.
But if we change it to facilities, then it would be ARPA.
Right.
Right.
I think what this would be, the sections that says responsible contractor funds used ARPA, I think that is new funds that would need to be allocated from ARPA. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you're gonna do that in-house, you're not gonna need the ARPA.
Yeah, so
funds
we
for
would need
that.
to come up with extra ARPA money versus if instead of contractor on these new pieces, it was facilities, then it would
Gotcha.
just be
Okay,
in the
thank you.
facilities
All right.
budget.
Do we all want to move to page 2 now? Do we feel comfortable with page 1?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I think you're on page 3, is that right?
Yeah, I believe we're on page 3.
I'm sorry. Yeah, page 3.
Looks like on page 3, the top 3 lines are the ones that are contractor. Are there issues with in-house, or do those need to be contractor?
Well, originally, we weren't going to do anything with flooring on that south side because it was fairly new when we put the budget together back in the day. And now they want new carpeting, so it's a new item.
I'm sorry, could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I don't know, how would that be new, because the walls came down? You would have kept carpet on one side and the
Yeah,
current
'cause-
flooring on the other side?
Yeah, because it was two sides of the floor, and those are carpet squares on that south side, and they were fairly new back when this budget was originally put together.
Are those carpet squares still available to get? Because when we took
Maybe.
walls out, if you go over in that space now, there's like long rectangular areas that is just concrete because there used to be a wall sitting on top of it. So, I mean, I don't think we would want to leave the space where you got concrete carpet, right?
Well, and that, I mean, because for the, let's go off phases, the phase 3 section, that flooring we're going to keep there, which helps us not have to move shelves. So the current floor that's there will stay. So the phase 2 section, if you put carpet in there, you will have to, which it's fine. I mean, we're a government office. If we want to have 2 different things, we save money, I'm for it. It would probably look a little bit better if we found some sort of flooring that somehow coordinated with the phase 3 section. Because we are saving money. I think, well, I mean, carpet's still expensive, so we're not doing the entire space. So I think that's something we may have to look at pricing for and kind of negotiate out for the second area. And at the appropriate time, I would love to see the plans that Mr. Hooton signed on and any sort of corresponding
He didn't
communication with
sign
that.
any at the time, but I
Oh,
can tell
okay.
you that
So there's nothing in writing?
this wall here would not have come down. They were gonna put some military file or something here, so it wasn't gonna be
Okay. Well, it's fine. It's
Yeah. So
To
how about,
Cody's point, though, on phase one, on phase one, there is new carpet there. If there are still existing tiles of carpet, we can purchase to make that all. I believe this is where you're going with that, to make that all on phase one.
well, I was kind of getting at, is that feasible? I mean, are there even those carpet tiles available? Because I know in our space on 6, we had carpet tiles, and then when we were redoing it, we were told, well, those carpet tiles aren't available anymore. So it doesn't really do a whole lot of good there.
and I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I was on the north side. You're on the south side.
Yeah, we're
That was.
still
I'm
right.
sorry.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, you had mentioned maybe keeping the flooring on the north side in a lot of those areas, which would reduce the cost of the flooring that we've already allocated towards the project, right? So can we not look at the amount of money that we have? Because we've got an amount of money in the 134,000 that's dedicated towards an expense for flooring on the north side, right?
yes.
Well,
If
that
you switch it to the south side, it may.
it may be a wash. So if we can look at that budget, and if you guys have the ability, let's say that we had $10,000 for flooring. I don't know what the amount was, but let's say it's 10,000, and then by making changes, whether it's in the type of flooring, if it's not carpet squares, if it's a a solid laminate or something that goes with that wood flooring, and say it's $16,000 instead of 10, is that something that maybe we can kind of work out, whether it's preservation funds or something like that that would pay for those additional dollars, and then we would look at the total overall expense for flooring on the north and the south side, compare those two, and really kind of find out what our difference is.
Yes, I would be comfortable with having the conversation. I would like to see what the breakdown budget was last year, because I'm assuming that's in writing somewhere. I would like to see that, just so I can figure out what was the plan financially. And then as we're looking at bids, because to your point, now we're saving money, not changing the floor over here. But I don't want somebody to say, well, the clerk said she would pay for the carpet and just go with that when we just need to make sure we're having a very thoughtful conversation.
And I think our intent is our budget's 134,000. If we can save some on that flooring, it doesn't mean that we're not going to spend 134,000 on the space. It would just be, making sure that at the end of the day, the expense stays within the 134. If we need to shift some of those because you're able to have savings here, but want to do something different
Yes.
there, is that workable?
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously changed the plan, which I like the plan better. We just got to make sure where the money is going to be allocated.
And is there a document that maybe I've missed that does have the breakdown of the first plan related to where those funds were broken out?
Breakdown. That's how we arrived at the.
Okay. And can I just get a copy and I'm sure maybe I have it in a folder that I can't find, but if you don't mind sending it over so I can look at it. Thank you.
Okay, so back to Stacy's point then, if there's new carpet or somewhat new carpet in the south side, and if we do have access to match that carpet to take care of where the walls have been moved and everything, are you open to us having that, using that same carpet and keeping it where you have, yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, thank you. Is there anything else we need to talk about on page 3 then? Stacy, do you see anything else? Do you think we've covered everything? On
Yeah, I
page
mean,
3?
the responsibility looks reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Then page 4. South space, cleanup contractor mess, access controls for the doors are the two things on contractor, which I assume the access controls is going to be, I can't remember the name of the company, but the proprietary. So,
DG.
Did you?
so that's going to be obviously there. What about cleaning any contractor mess before completing? I would assume that would be in there.
That's in there. That would
Yeah.
just be in their scope.
So is there anything else we need to discuss? Okay, the second box, move designated books from northeast to south wall. Okay, has that been, where has that fallen so far on the actual moving of the books?
It says like looks like we're gonna get a specialty contractor from the clerk's office.
Yeah, it looks like the clerk's office is providing that. From a
Okay.
timing standpoint,
Okay.
it'll be when the finishing is done over on the other side. I think it's a little bit of a tight window, I think, but there will be at least a couple days to choose from, maybe before the July 8th. That's
Okay.
kind of when we need to do that, because July 8th is when the contractor for the first floor, the rest of the first
Right.
floor is going to begin. So that's kind of what our window is.
And I'm assuming that although it's kind of like a double event where we've got to empty the shelves, move the shelves, and then move the books following over there. Are we using the same shelves? Is that right?
Actually, we and through here, you'll see that one of the things that needs to be done is the one above it says clean paint black,
Mhm.
move shelves from storage off Lincoln. This once the phase 1 is ready for flooring, if those shelves go in soon as possible, then we can start moving books over. So the shelves that the books are currently on, and that's in here too, will need to be moved, hopefully into our temporary space. And if not, we'll just move them up here and I'll.
That's what you said yesterday. Yeah.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for the clarification. So we've got all those costs covered. Will we ready to move to page 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're looking at phase 2.
And I think similar to the south side, the ceiling grid and the ceiling tiles, we use our in-house AB.
Is that part of what you were identifying earlier that needed to be, so we don't bust the budget?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're okay, as you stated earlier, saying that it applies to this, okay. Okay, anything else on this page?
No, I think on the funds used, like Madam Clerk mentioned earlier, I think that'll be a fluid, kind of looking at what we're doing. But as far as the responsibility, I think those are all adequate.
Page 6 then, and I'm seeing all facilities on that one.
Are we on the same?
Yeah, on page
Okay.
6, there is one item that the contractor will do, and that's
On
building
page 6, or where?
Yeah, page 6.
Constructing the new wall in the phase 2 area.
Okay, so back on page 5.
No,
It says
page 6
at the bottom.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we got access controls, which would be a contractor, construct new wall, which would be a contractor, and then moving the books would be the county clerk contractor. So, yeah, once again, we got facilities doing similar things that they're doing on the south side, which is roughing in the power and installing new electrical. So, yeah, it's good.
So at least on paper, it looks like that we, following this and realizing it's going to be an ongoing conversation, it looks like that we have a plan to move forward to stay in budget at least. Does that, Cody, do you believe that, or?
Well, I think we've got, really it's the flooring and the constructing of the new wall and some of the patchwork that are going to be potentially additional expenses beyond what has been contemplated
Mhm.
before. Now, some of those may be able to to be taken care of within the budget that had been contemplated because of the savings of not replacing all of the flooring on the north side, or it may necessitate some additional funds being put in there. But I think we're in a situation now where we're all going to try to work together to figure out how we can, make it happen.
Stacy,
So-
do you have anything to add?
Well, with defining the responsibility, then our owner's rep can price what may be going to a contractor compared to your budget and give you some
Yeah.
advice on where we're at.
Marissa, is there anything else you want to state or say? Or
No, I didn't know if you were going to go over the page 7. Or do we do
Yeah.
phase 3 already? Everybody good?
Page 7 was fine with me.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I appreciate the conversation and the partnership with everybody. And I just want a clean, clear plan.
Yeah.
And lots of communication. And I think that this can be successful and it can actually be pretty easy. And the more that we can work with facilities and being efficient on things, I think we'll be able to get this done pretty quickly, actually. And we did have all of our staff box up their stuff, clean up a lot last week. So we've already been working to remove items downstairs that we don't need, and we'll continue to do that with our team.
Right.
So thank you all.
Have you guys started looking at, I'm sure you haven't, but on the flooring piece? Because that's going to be probably the biggest cost driver in what's, other than the things that facilities is going to do. I mean, the AB, that stuff will be, not cheap because we're going to pay for that, but that'll be through facilities. From a contractor standpoint, though, that's where we're going to have to look and see where we got savings. Have you started looking at that yet?
We have a flooring contractor on contract,
Right.
Kenway contract, so we can reach out to them to make sure whether tiles are available in stock and visit with those things, get some pricing. I think they've actually already been contacted related to this project, and so we can just connect with them again.
Okay. Yeah, my only well, not my only, my biggest concern is you're wanting to, I think it's great that you're wanting to keep the same stuff. I mean, that's nice flooring and just tearing it up. I get that, but finding something that's going to coordinate with it, that's where, I want to make sure that they have something available, because if they don't, then we're looking at having to do the whole area.
So in the south space, is it just where the walls have been removed? Is it mainly new carpet everywhere down there except for where?
Well,
Is
I
that-
don't know what
no,
was in the
no.
very west end where I think the abstractors were. I don't know how long that's been
That's
there.
older stuff.
That's
Yeah.
older
Vinyl
stuff.
tile.
And then kind of in the middle, it's newish carpet, but there's areas where there's no carpet because there were walls on top.
Okay,
And then the little area up on I guess it would be the southeast side that they would have. I think it's just concrete right now,
okay, so, but,
right?
I think that's right.
So,
I mean, even if we find out that the carpet is available, getting it secured we can't do that in 2 months. So my question, I'm thinking that's right.
I think we're very hopeful, and that's our goal is to.
No,
have-
I agree. I agree that, but if not, is the flooring doable where it would be safe for on a temporary basis to go ahead and use June 8th for people to be able to access and use that space, and then as the materials come in, and you understand what I'm asking,
I
right?
do. I think the biggest logistical problem with that is going to be if we do a situation like that, then we're going to have shelves moved into place with books on them, and then we'd have to move books out of the space, move the
Understand.
shelves out, and then do the flooring. So
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
You can't hear it online either. I don't think it makes any sense to move anything in there until that floor is done. But in working with Chantel and Amber, who I know has reached out before on this project,
Okay.
I would be really shocked if we don't. Now, we may have to replace the entire thing. We may
Right.
not be able to do the patchwork,
Understand.
but I would be shocked. And I would like to just flag on here within the south space in that long hallway area, there are old DA files, and I just want to make sure that I am not responsible for accidentally throwing away some. So we're not touching those, and I think we're going to get notice to them, maybe.
yeah,
Or do we need to get notice to
I
them?
think what we need to do, the clerk's office marked the stuff over in in that space with some nomenclature so that we know what they're keeping. And then I think some of the stuff wasn't on inventory and they were going to donate. That stuff, I think what we need to do is have facilities or somebody move that stuff from the south side over to the north side. Then the things that are left in the south side are things that are not the clerk's, and the clerk has no intent of doing anything with that. It's not on her inventory. And then we'll need to contact the DA or whoever owns the stuff that's remaining in that space, and we're going to need to
When you say we, you're referring to,
facilities, Stacy, the county.
And it is actually a box here. There's a line item for that.
And Joe and I are happy to help.
okay, great. Thank you, Cody.
Facilitate some of that. But that's when I said earlier that we can get it done by July 8th, but it's going to be a tight window on their moving of the books. For like, they'll have a few day window. It's because it may take a little bit of time, but our whole intent would be to have all of the paint, the walls, the floors, all of that stuff done over there so that we can then, and at the same time, have the shelves that are over at Lincoln washed, painted, so that whenever the floor's done, the walls are done, those shelves can be moved in immediately, and then their contractor can step in and move the necessary books.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I will accept a motion. And if there is further discussion, so speak. Does anyone else have anything to add or any other questions? Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
Stacy, are you comfortable with this?
Yeah, I think it's a good plan on paper.
Madam Clerk, you're comfortable with it? Mike, are
Yes,
you guys
sir.
comfortable? Okay. Then I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the floor plan as received earlier today, and that we continue looking at potential funding shortfalls in some of these areas and figure out how we can accomplish getting this whole project to the finish line.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Marissa, thank you for all of your work on this, and also Mike, you too. And Chantel, and Stacy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's along.
Yeah, Scott, yes. Okay, I don't see anyone here from Renee or anyone does anyone have anything to address on the access, the two access doors for the courts? I don't see anyone here. Okay. If not, I don't have any other items to open. We do have a citizen here to be heard, so I'll go ahead and recognize Michael Washington. Are you? Yeah. Would you like to go ahead and speak? Address us? Thank you.
Michael Washington, 100 Park Place. Actually, I'm in the wrong spot this morning. This is really out of my area. I was thinking this was a criminal justice advisory committee. However, it was pretty interesting topics. So again, y'all, one thing I'm mad about, y'all moved me out this y'all my office. No, thank y'all. No, y'all, man, hey, this is good. I mean, upgrade is great. So thank y'all for having me and have a great day. That's all.
Right.
You bet.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thank you. Is any other citizens? How about, is there any new business? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Before
Oh,
we
I'm
vote, we have not heard anything from Renee or anybody that particular item for those doors is urgent and has to be taken care of right now, because there's nobody here. Basin's not here. Nobody's here.
Thank you for checking that, Cody.
Yeah,
I
okay.
appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. There is a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.